Well, very good afternoon, everybody. You're all very welcome to Fly Ireland Channel. Today we will be flying the Aer Lingus aircraft from Dublin to Berlin, and we are currently using Delta Echo Mike is one of the A320 CEOs on the Aer Lingus fleet, and we're also going to be using the Fenix model. So I've jumped in and started up a fair bit of the cockpit initially. So most of the cockpit stuff is all ready to go. We have loaded the box. We're just waiting on the final load sheet to come in, and once we do, we'll start up and push back and get going. Flight time today is expected to be 1 hour and 40 minutes, and the fact that we're using the Fenix model, we will be able to demonstrate some of the systems while we're en route and in the cruise, and maybe give you a little bit of an insight as to various different systems within the Airbus. We first started looking at this Fenix model when it came out, and I have to say it is very impressive. A lot of the systems that it simulates is true to real life, and I have to say it is well worth the purchase for just €50. Airbus TJ, good afternoon. How are you doing? Hope you're all well. Any questions that you may have regards of the Airbus and its systems later on, we'll probably just hold those for the cruise, and we have a little bit more time to get in, and depending on what it is that you've been asking for, we might be able to switch them on and off and show you the effects and so forth. But let's get it on the way. We're going to be trying also using VATSIM this afternoon. We have filed a flight plan with them. I've just checked the VATSIM map, and there is no ATC at this moment in time. However, some of the sectors may become live later on, so it would be pretty good if they get on board with us. So we're looking at Ecto City. Says what will be the cruising altitude today on today's flight? It is going to be 35,000 feet. And what we'll probably try and do as well, while we're at 35,000 feet, we did say today we're going to demonstrate an engine failure in this cruise, and not only just the failure, but actually how to relight the engine while we are airborne. So just let's get the APU up and running first, and once that's going, we'll start preparing the aircraft for push and start. Those of you who are over on TikTok, you're very welcome, and also on HD and the Red channel. Won't be able to see any comments on the Red channel, so please bear with us. We're not set up for that at this moment in time. So while that APU is about to start, let's get a look down and to see where we are at this moment in time. So ATC is all ready, and let's have a look at what load sheet that we may have. So we're carrying a fair bit of fuel today. It's up in the region of around 12.4 tons, and there's a good reason for that later on. I'm not quite sure when we do demonstrate the engine failure if we cannot relight it due to the way the Fenix is set up. Well, at least we'll have enough fuel to keep going. So let's have a look at received messages. We should have a load sheet, and we do indeed. So there it is today, a zero fuel weight of 57.7 tons. And the max zero fuel weight today is going to be 32.5. So 57.6. Let's put that into the box now. 57.6 versus 32.5. So we said 12.4 tons of fuel, and then that gives us a takeoff weight of 69.8 tons. So that sounds fairly reasonable. 3% for the contingency as well. We don't have an alternate put in at the moment, but it is going to be Hamburg should we need to go there. However, we have plenty of fuel that we could hold over on the far side, subject to anything that's going wrong in Berlin. Again, we don't know what's going to happen. This is the Fenix model. There's some updates that's after being done as well, so you better bear with us. We've noticed a couple of crashes along the way once we have an update done, but we'll get to that. So the planned takeoff weight according to my flight plan today is 69.8 tons, and according to the MacDo computer it's 69.8, which is all spot on. So it prepares takeoff speeds. Let's have a look. I'll get to some of the questions now in a moment. We just want to get the departure performance and get some questions, and then we'll do a pushback. So we're going off runway 28 left today in Dublin. It's a dry surface. Flap configuration, we're going to use optimal. Probably throws up a flap 1 configuration. We're not going to force the toga, and anti-ice is not required. So the packs will also be on for the takeoff. I'm going to sync the load sheet in, so we'll also sync the weather in, and then we'll do a calculate for the takeoff. So V speeds today is 142, 146, 146, a flaps 1 with 0 down, and a flex temp of 51 degrees. So we'll put all that in the box there, in the performance. So 51 degrees, flaps 1 is given us today, and a takeoff configuration of 0 down on the trim. And just to remind ourselves of the V speeds of 142, 146, and 146. 142. 146. Oh, getting ahead of myself here. 142, 146, and 146. Transition altitude 5,000 feet. Standard thrust reduction of just 1,700 feet across the board there for engine acceleration, also 1,700 feet. So, regards of the setup, we are ready to rock and roll. A couple of questions. May I ask how high speed causes a faster descent rate in managed mode on the Airbus? Aviation James, we'll get to that later on. If you want to just remind me as we go through it. And also we have at this moment, before cruise, is there a chance we can see the TCAS test via the FMC? I'm not going to get into that at this moment in time. Basically today's is going to be concentrating on some of obviously the flying element of it, and some of the more general systems were failures, and a demonstration obviously of a engine failure in the cruise. Okay, with that in mind, we are ready, and let's have a look. Let's get rid of the APU is on, I should say. External power is off, and let's connect the tug and push. Ground services. Connect the tug. Where's the button for the tug? There we go. Connect the tug. So we see him outside. There we go. Snack options on board today. I don't know. I'd never even checked that out before I get in. Captain White, how are you doing? Are you very well? And who else we got? Spaghetti for the dinner. So with that in mind, I am going to now start the push and start. So brakes released and start the push. So for the controls today, we're using the Thrustmaster joystick and the throttle quadrant. So I will now set the ignition to start and put in engine number 1. So engine number 1, the valve was open there. So as you can see, the valve opened here. It releases high pressure into spin up N2. Once we see N2 getting to approximately 22%, you see the fuel coming into it there. Exhaust gas temperature should start rising, and then an increase on the N1. So that looks at starting. That start is healthy so far. What airline do you work for? Fairly sizable airline that uses Airbus aircraft. Okay guys, don't forget, if you tap and share the live, it will bring more people in, and if not already, give us a follow, and you'll be able to get more notifications the next time that we go live. So engine number 1 is all started. It looks all healthy there, and now to put in engine number 2. Engine number 2. So going through that again, the valve is opened. N2 is starting to spin up. Again, once we get to just over 21%, should see the fuel then come in. Thanks, Steve, for the gifts. Very much appreciated. There's the exhaust gas temperature now starting to rise. N1 starting to spool up. Oh, well, we forgot about the tug driver. He's still pushing us back, isn't he? That's far enough, I'd say. We'll get to stop there. and setting the parking brake. Bit of a windy day here in Dublin. We're actually using live weather, so the winds is approximately around 25 knots last time I checked. Don't forget to double tap that screen, guys. Let's get the live shared. So both engines are stabilized. It is much better with two pilots operating today, but unfortunately I'm going to have to do it all on my own. So the pilot who's flying would now switch the ignition back to normal. Also, look above here. Don't need the APU anymore. Get rid of the APU and switch that off. The pilot who's non-flying would arm the speed brakes, spoilers I should say, zero the trim, select flap 1, and the trim then goes to 0, which is 0. Pitch trim is 0, and we got that from the performance earlier on. So the after start check is the anti-ice is off, it's not required. The engine mode selector is normal, the rudder trim is 0, and the pitch trim is also 0. Flight instruments are checked, and the ECAM status is also checked. So get ready for taxi. Lights on. So today we're going to be departing off runway 28 in Dublin. 28 left. We've opened up the new runway here in Dublin, so we'll be departing off runway 28 left. And then once we get airborne, it's going to be a right-hand turnout. It's the end departure. It's going to be climbed to flight level 90. All this prepared just before we came live on stream, so didn't have to waste much time. So let's use the head tracking. I suppose we've got to keep the eyes out. So where are we flying to? We're flying to Berlin today, and while we're en route, we're going to demonstrate an engine failure in the cruise and maybe look at one or two other systems while we can. What do I mean by flight level 90? And flight level 90 technically is 9,000 feet on standard pressure. Currently on takeoff we're using QNH, which is the pressure above sea level in the locality here. But flight level 90 is in the box there, so it's 9,000 feet. So we just pull up just before we depart, and let's do some of the checks. Brakes are set. So checking the flight instruments, it says 30 on the tape, 142 blue, 146 magenta, climb blue and nav blue, 1FD2. The two heading is 224 once, twice. Just check it off the compass as well, and that looks reasonable, 3 times. And the two-way point is Delta Whiskey 10 Bravo, and to overfly. So flight instrument to check briefly in nav age is confirmed and set for departure off runway 28 left. It's an end departure, climb to flight level 90. Flaps is 1 is planned, 1 is selected, and 1 plus F is indicating. V speeds is 142, 146, 146, and flex temp of 51 degrees, and that gives us a power setting of about 88.6 is sensible. Flight controls are checked and the ECAM status is checked, and just to bring up the takeoff configuration and is also checked. So we're good to go. So lights on and check is complete. Let's take off. Unfortunately we don't have the VATSIM today, so can't get proper ATC clearances. Hopefully they do, they tune in along the sectors. We have submitted a flight plan. There we go. Let's put VATSIM up there. So quite heavy today. just over 69 tons. So if we had an engine failure or anything now, we'd be actually overweight to come back into land. We'd be under 66 tons. Some airlines would have their certification probably a little bit higher, but I believe 66 tons would be the standard. And depending on the failure, of course, we can do an overweight landing, but it's not desirable. So lights is on, check is complete, take off, set at 50%, nose forward slightly. Okay, 2 engines are stabilized, flex. Man flex 51 degrees, SRS runway's updated, thrust set. 100 knots, cross checks. V1, rotate. Positive climb, checks, and gear up. Nav. Autopilot 1 in. Switching on the predictive wind shear and TCAS TARA. So lever climb flashing, that means we come back to climb thrust. Climb. So the wind out there is straight on the nose there at 31 knots. We can see it up on the ND display. And the aircraft is going to go straight out to this point, Delta Whiskey 108 with a right hand turn, and then continue on with the flight plan. Strobe light. Switch that on. S plus increasing flap 0. So, disarm the spoilers and switch the lights off. So there we are in the right hand turn. After takeoff checks is landing gear is up, flaps are retracted, the packs are on and it's pressurized, and APU is off, and the bar reference, we're just approaching the standard level now. Passing 5,000 feet, setting standard. Standard crossing 5-4 for flight level 90. Checks, that's the after takeoff checklist complete. So we're entering bits of cloud there. Temperature is above 10 degrees, so we don't need the engine on the ice. So Martini, you didn't hand fly for long. No, don't need to. Sometimes there's not very much that you be hand flying, like only small turns and climbs. Bear in mind with an Airbus, it's not like the conventional aircraft. It's like you select the attitude and the aircraft trims itself. So it is a little bit easier to maneuver, and sometimes, I won't say boring, but there's not very much to do. And given that you spend so much time in the cockpit, what is your favourite humming noise? Don't have one, to be honest with you. Quietness is probably the favourite. Aviation James, it's only at certain airports like Geneva, Lisbon and Berlin. Sorry James, not following you there. Soul Search Ireland, do you allow for the curve? When you say you allow for the curve, can give me a little bit more on that. So what exactly do you mean? So where are we flying to? We're flying from Berlin to Berlin today. We're approaching flight level 90. So let's have a look. Flight level 90, and we have 90 set. So let's bring this on up to 30,000 odd feet. 35,000 feet to be exact. So passing 10,000 feet. 10,000 feet, checks the lights. Lights are in. Pax is on. We are pressurizing. Airport, via war. Trains off. Standard is set, and we're going to clear the radnavs and copy the active flight plan. Basically, the active flight plan was set up to return back to Dublin should we had a malfunction on departure. So there we go, climbing away. So do you fly on VATSIM? I do. I've actually have the flight filed with VATSIM, so if VATSIM comes on, hopefully they'll give me a shout and get some ATC going on the live as well. So curvature with the air, do you allow for it? If you're talking about navigating, first and foremost, the Airbus is very technical in the sense that it caters to everything for you. But if you are planning and flying and going by heading to heading, you have to allow where you are on the Earth, regardless of your headings, because there's various things that can affect it, magnetic variation and so forth. If you're flying over long distances, depends on the latitude. You won't just fly straight across on a heading. You may have to add, say, an increment of 7 minutes to your heading to actually take into account for curvature. So it depends on the latitude as well. So I fly, Aaron flies on VATSIM as well, and love it love doing by Cork and Dublin. Yeah, VATSIM, I have to say, it's an incredible service. It's developed over the last I don't know many years now, but the guys there take it really serious, and it's really good for anybody who wants to get into that next level of immersion in the flying in the flight simulator, because the guys really do a great job in there, and it's all voluntary. So if you're using flight sim, highly recommended. Get onto VATSIM, don't be afraid. The guys are very good in there, they will help you out, and but by all means use it, it's free. I meant to say flying Cork to Dublin. Oh, that's a little small flight. A little small flight. Do you use Navigraph? I do actually use Navigraph. I just wanted to get going here today. Let's call up the charts and Navigraph here, just to show you exactly what we did. So let me just check the plane. It's flying, it's climbing, all's good, and all the indications are normal. So just take our eyes off here for a moment. So if I actually bring in the routing that we're doing here today, so while that's loading, so it is Dublin. Today we did a departure out of Dublin called the NDEC departure, and it was the NDEC 1 Alpha. Let me just have a quick look down here. We'll get to that in a moment. We'll talk about the charts on going in on the far side, because we'll be doing a full arrival into Berlin. So looking at the route today, this is basically where we are. Going from Dublin, we're heading straight out over Manchester and then around the southeast of the UK, and then straight across into Berlin. So that's the kind of nearly nearly a straight line for want of a better. So just passing over the point of Endek, and next point then heading on to Rulav, Ajeb, Alava, and then Malad. So still accelerating up to 310 knots and continue on to climb flight level 350. So everything looking good? Yeah. Oh, never switched the beacon on. There we go. So Aaron says, do I fly for an airline? I do. I'm 17 years now flying for an airline. Can you show 360 of the cockpit? Let's do that. Let's have a little look, right? Yeah, so looking down, I have to say the graphics on this is absolutely incredible. Let's have a little look up over the top. One thing I did notice about the Fenix model that we're using here today is that it has all the buttons, all the fuses at the back. The majority of them actually work. So let me show you. Let me say a non jeopardy, something that's not too bad. So if I was to, let's have a look. If I was to pull this fuse here, ATSU 1, I would expect my computer to go blank. So let's pull that. Oh, that didn't work. So that's the whole system. Sorry, maybe that one's not working correctly. Let's have just looking for something that's non-jeopardy, like a screen or something like that. Let's have a little look up here. Lighting, exterior lights. No. Probably best not messing with any of these. Oh, there's one there now. So that screen is going to be permanently off there now. So I'm going back over to the same questions here. So what's your alternate airport? Hamburg today. Oh my God, it looks very scary when I'm a passenger. You shouldn't be scared. You got to remember.
Hotel requesting IFR Hamburg.
We have. I think we have ATC. We may have ATC. Yeah, shouldn't be scared when you're going flying. You got to remember, there's pilots around the world. I mean, hundreds of thousands of pilots around the world. Goes to work every single day and does approximately maybe 3 sectors.
IFR to Hamburg, information hotel, stand 101 with information hotel, type 737.
So hope to get a commercial license. We're going for a course in Carlo. Any tips? It's I would say to anybody who's looking to get a commercial license. Just switch off that for a moment. There we go. I would say to anybody who's looking to get a commercial license or a flying license, is go and do the medical first. It's very important that you know that you're actually fit to fly, because there's not much point in doing all this studying. And when you do studying and you spend money on flying lessons, and then you realize you can't fly because you can't get a medical due to a health issue. So I think it's quite important to go and get one of those first. So what do I think of Munich Airport? Absolutely love flying into Munich Airport. It's very spacious, really nice, nice approach as well. Definitely one of my favourite places when I'm flying in Europe. I was thinking about buying the Fenix. Would you recommend it? Absolutely. It's probably the first add-on that I've seen for the Microsoft Flight Simulator that I would consider it as study level. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that the thing can teach you. Or maybe I shouldn't say teach, just help you get familiar with. And it is really worth investing in. I highly recommend it for the price. Fenix have done an unbelievable job. I don't see or have not experienced anything in the flight sim world that would come close to what Fenix is after producing. And my first Microsoft Flight Simulator was going back a long time ago, so even before FS2020. So that's how long I'm at this. I've been flying the flight sim before I was a commercial pilot. Just booked the medical, so to do a solo in January. Really looking forward to it. Yeah, you have to have the medical and you have to have your student pilot's license before you can go solo. So best of luck with that. It's really, really enjoyable. It's one of those things that you love it or you don't. So just looking at the overhead panel here, and you can see on the Airbus, the way it's all laid out, there's not one light that is on, and that's always a very good indication. Once you start seeing something fail, like for instance if we switch one of the two of the fuel tank, definitely wouldn't recommend doing this in flight. It's not a procedure, but you can see once you have a light there, it stands out a little bit like a sore thumb, so it's something to draw your attention to. Now that's white, so something is actually off, the system is off. If it was amber, it'd probably have the word fault on it, so then you know it's probably a system malfunction and it may require attention. Can pilots wear glasses? Absolutely. Many of my colleagues wear glasses, and there is certain things within the medical related to the eyes. I think it's stigmatism or something like that. They may have an issue with it, or there has to be a certain gradient. No, I'm not quite sure on that. So maybe somebody else in the chat there could just pop any information that they may have on that. So how much does it cost to acquire your PPL? I didn't do a PPL. I just did the full airline transport license, the frozen airline transport license straight up, all in one go. And that can be quite expensive. I believe it runs in the region of nowadays 100, maybe 110,000 euros. So it is quite expensive, you know. So at this point of the air climb, we're passed through 27,000 feet. Not a bad idea just to give a little systems check. So basically, if we look down here and cycle through each one of these general systems pages here, right? So bringing on engines, and again, everything that's in the green, once you start seeing green is good. So the bleed, everything's all looking good there. Pressurization is all looking good. The electrics, everything again, all in the green. Hydraulics, all good. Fuel, all good. The condition pages, 24 degrees, 24 and 25, all looks reasonable. Doors, all good. Green, and flight controls, all good. So everything's all ticking along nicely. For a PPL, yeah, about 10 to 13,000 euros sounds about right. Option on the transition altitude changing from 5,000 feet to 18,000 feet in Ireland. My apologies. Opinion on the transition altitude change from 5,000 to 18,000 feet in Ireland. I really don't have an opinion on it. I see why they do it in the USA, that the highest mountain over there is just under 18,000 feet, so you just set it as 18,000 feet for everybody. Highest one in Ireland is below 5,000 feet. I don't know. I really don't have an opinion on that. Did you do any college courses that would recommend it for commercial flying? No, not really. I just have an interest, and I did work as an electronics engineer prior to flying, but that course had absolutely nothing to do with it. So £170 an hour for a Cessna 152. Yes, it is. It's really getting expensive at the moment now. I remember going back in the day when I was doing it, it was £100 an hour. So the game Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 with the Fenix add-on, and it is absolutely brilliant add-on. Well worth getting it for the simulator. Well worth getting it. Can't stress that enough. Don't forget, guys, if you drop us a follow if you can, and double tap that screen, and let's get the live out. And once we get into the cruise, we'll start having a look at these engine failures and other systems that you may want to have any questions on or have a little look. And let's try and get some answer. I may not have the answer to everything, but we'll always be able to look it up, and let's have a little dig about, see if we can find an answer for you. So do you think the new airport of Berlin is better than the old one? For me, it's the old one. Yeah, I think they're much of the same. Are you a captain? Yeah, to this length of time, yep. Finally a perfect live. Thanks very much, Adam. Very, very much appreciated. So what was that add-on called again? It's the Fenix A320 simulator. And again, definitely get it. Don't even think about it. €50 or £50. It is something that I recommend to anybody who flies the 320 and Microsoft Flight Simulator. Let's have a little look outside. Whoa, down a bit low here. So whoa, there we go. So it looks like we're just coming. Oh, there's John Lennon Airport, Liverpool, just right beneath us there. Again, we're using the real world weather at the moment. So wherever the weather is in Berlin, I'm expecting it to be. Oh, I think the old tracking headset is going to be a little bit crazy at the moment. There we go. Now. As you can see, Ryanair ever opening routes to the States. We need a low-cost airline. Not quite sure. They've been talking about it for many years, but again, it might be something that's grabs a lot of media attention and gets it into the newspaper. But I've never seen it come through. Would you recommend using the PC or next? Definitely a PC if you wanted to get into this really in depth. It's quite good. We can see that we have fairly sizable tailwind there, so it's right behind us there, 129 knots, and the speed over the ground is 584. That's a very fast flight here today. 1982, my last flight from Sheer Tower with easiest flight from Cork easiest flight from Cork to start again. Okay, not quite understanding what you're saying there. Done a C check on DEM. Very good. We'll where was that? Down in Bordeaux. So what is your PC spec? I have the i9. I have 380 on the graphics card, 64 gigs memory, and not overclocking it, not doing anything of the sort, just letting it run as it is. Now I will say the Microsoft Flight Simulator had a bit of an issue regards of the performance, and it's not. I don't think it's utilizing the software perfectly for all the cores in the PC. However, I think they are getting a little bit better. There was an update about 2 weeks ago, and it was it did have a bit of an improvement in fairness. So John at Dublin Aerospace, I've probably seen you out there once or twice. Hi there, how you doing? Fly UK is in the house. Hello Dan, I'm very glad that you can join me. We're missing, I was wondering today when we came in to fly the sim, there's nobody sitting over there, and it's like, hey, he's off again. He doesn't come in and do these flights anymore. So I had to go solo. So what kind of game? Again, it's Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 and using the Fenix A320 add-on. So everything's all ticking along nicely. We're just about 1,000 foot to go now to our cruise of 35,000 feet. You make me want to hop onto Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. Yeah, it's really good. As I said, like I've been flying commercially now for 17 years, but I've been flying on the Flight Simulator, I think, for over 30 years. So yeah, it's come a long way. A long way. So what's your age? Not too old, not too young either. I hope you'll be my pilot in the future. I never experienced a flight on an Airbus. That's a great old piece of aircraft to fly. It's probably one of my favourites. Somebody earlier on asked me about TCAS. I just actually see there is some traffic in the area here. Let's just bring down the scope. as you can see a little bit, there was one that's just after going over us there at 37,000 feet. So don't forget, if you double tap that screen, and we'll be sure to get the live out to as many people as we can, and if you're not already following, drop us a follow also. And don't forget, while I'm at it, also follow Fly UK. Sometimes myself and himself will get in and do a dual stream. Haven't done it in a while since we upgraded to the Fenix, because this software, it's very hard to leave this one and go back to a previous one that we were using. However, the previous one that we're using did allow us to connect up the two computers and fly in dual controls. So Fly UK has a lot of good content there. Drop him a follow also. So do you ever fly to Shannon? It's been known. Do a flip, not a flip. No. Not yet at the moment. So what we did say though is when we get into the cruise, which we're here now, and let's just double check all bits and pieces here. So let's switch off the seatbelt sign and put the TCAS on below, and let's just keep the monitor on VATSIM.
And Europa 804, when are you ready?
And there we go. Oh, take up the wrong frequency on VATSIM. 1228. There we go. Now, okay, we did say we're going to have a little look of an engine failure in the cruise. So, before we get into that, give me one moment. Okay, I'm back. So you said I have 64 gigabytes of RAM. Yeah, not quite needed, to be honest with you. I think I overspec'd the PC when I got it. Isopilot auto brake off. Don't see the auto brake is off. What does the UPS add-on give you? The UPS add-on? Jimmy, if you want to expand on that a little bit. Right, we're going to have a little look at an engine failure in the cruise. Now, with the Fenix, here's one thing that we can do, right? This may or may not work. I'm going to set an engine failure in the cruise by the system here. So failures. Oh, CBDCU1. Oh, that was the CB that we pulled earlier on. Okay. Let's go back to here. Configuration. Manual failures. So we're going to do an engine failure, which is just scroll down a bit more. Engines. So we can do FADEX, EIU failures. We can engine failure left, engine failure right. And let's do an engine failure on the right. Okay. Okay, we have a master caution. So let's have a look what the master caution is doing. It's saying we have a bit of an engine failure there on the right. So set an master MCT, disconnect the autopilot. I'm going to open up the speed window because we can't, I'm going to select the green dot speed. We can't stay at this level on one engine. Now we're at the green dot speed. I'm just going to pull for, oops. We can't, it's not working. There we go. Trust I look the set. There we go. That wasn't working too well there. I don't understand why that was happening. Anyway, so basically what we've done is we've put both thrust levers into maximum continuous thrust. We've disconnected the auto thrust. We've selected the green dot speed, so that's the minimum drag speed, and you can see the aircraft is just going to go to it and hold the green dot speed. Okay. We've also then need to select something much lower. We can't maintain a high altitude here. I'm going to target about flight level to 20,000 feet at the moment, right? And we'll come back and review that at the moment. So the speed window, I'm on a heading now, and I'm going to go down to 20,000 feet. Engine number 1 is on maximum continuous thrust. So basically the aircraft is going down, descending in a very controlled manner towards 20,000 feet. So at this point in time, I would say then that the aircraft is safely on a good trajectory and it's safe. And I would also say I have control of the aircraft, and I would take the radios off the first officer at this point in time, and I would ask him to identify the failure. So he'll identify the failure by looking at the ECAM here. So the ECAM, let's have a look at what it says. It says engine 2 fail. Fair enough, okay. So can he also confirm up here? We can see that all the numbers are back. Yeah, they're all down. The N1 is down. Yeah, that looks pretty good in the sense of it's telling us the correct information. Anything else up here? We can also see we have 2 other failures here, and it says pack 1 has failed and generator number 2 has failed, which all makes perfect sense because they all run off engine number 2. So he would probably come back to me and tell me, I can confirm we have an engine 2 fail, and he'd also probably confirm that engine number 1 is working well. So with that, I would agree, and I would ask him to perform these ECAM actions for engine 2 fail. Now bear in mind, before we do that, as we can see, the fact we've maximum continuous thrust set on the other engine, it's going down nice and slowly. There's no panic here. Everything is nice and smooth. So I will maintain control of the aircraft with the radios, and he'll perform the ECAM action. So the first ECAM action, it says engine mode selected to ignition. So that's this lad down here in the center. So we're using the thrust master, switch it to ignition. If you note, okay, so that's on ignition. Thrust, as we noticed that once I switch it to ignition, it's disappeared off the checklist here. Thrust lever 2 idle. So we'll come down here, and before we move any thrust levers, we'd confirm with each other, confirm that this is thrust lever number 2, and he would confirm it, and we'd slowly bring that back. So once the thrust lever is back, and it says here engine master 2 off. So engine master 2, again, a very important switch. Confirm it's number 2, it's confirmed, and we'll switch it off. Now we'll have a look up here. If damage, so how do we assess whether there's damage or not? Well, if we have a look, we can see that the N1 is still spinning, the fan blade. If it was damaged or a board went down, we'd probably see that at 0. Or the N2, the inner core, we'd probably see that at 0 as well. Then we know it's seized up or damaged, but it's not in this case. We just had basically a flame out by the looks of it. So this part of the ECAM, it says, if damage, engine 2 fire push button, push. We're not going to do it, but let me show you what it's asking us to do. It's asking us to push the engine number 2 fire push button there. Whoop. This one here. But we're not going to do that because I don't believe we have damage to the engine. I'm actually going to try and relay it. So the fact I'm flying here on my own, let's just double check. See, we're still at 30,000 feet, going down nice and slowly. So as we can see, an engine flame out, it's not that much of a panic from a pilot's perspective dealing with it, okay? So if damage, engine 2 push button push, and then we've discharged the fire extinguisher. If no damage, engine 2 relight consider. So yes, we will consider an engine 2 relight, and that's subject to the system allow me to clear it in the box here. So we'll get to that in a moment. So I'm going to clear that. There's a little bit more on that checklist. So if no fuel leak, balance monitor, and the TCAS mode, we need to select it to TA. So let's do that now, TA. So that's fine. We're going to clear engine 2 shut down. So it's cleared. Now there's these little systems popping up here let me know that because of the engine's down, so is the packs. That's okay, that's understood. And it also says land as soon as possible. So the air bleed is gone, clear that. And it's also telling me that one of the generators is gone. However, we also have a spare generator. So why don't we switch that on the APU? So let's get that going. And we can actually get back redundancy from the generator. So that's good, clear that. And now we're at the status page. So now I would consider, is there any other checklist? Is there any other pieces of information I need to consider from Airbus? And I would actually perform that there. If the performance permits, cross bleed open. Yes, there's no damage there, there's no fire, there's nothing there. So I am going to consider the cross bleed and open it. So here we go, air conditioning, cross bleed, open. That will help with an engine relight, okay? It's also telling me if no engine 2 damage, consider the engine 2 relight, which we are. We're Cat 3 single and one pack only if the wing anti-ice is on, which we're not using. The inoperative systems, Cat 3 dual, engine 2 bleed, main galley and generator 2, and that's all understood. So we're going to clear that, and now we have our ECAMS actions complete. Now, if there was damage to that engine, you could certainly be looking at a diversion, and you'd be probably already on your way to a diversion and you'd be declaring Mayday. And even in doing that, now we're going to consider an engine relight in the air. Now before I can do that, this is maybe a problem with Fenix, but we're going to try it anyway, and we're going to try and clear the failures. Okay, so if I clear the failure, then I can do the relight. So let's go down, engines, engine number 2, oh, no, let's try it one more time, and there we go. So it's telling me now, I think I've cleared the failure for engine number 2, and just clear that there. So now we're going to consider a relight. So let's just have a little look at where we are. I don't mind, we just keep going where we are. We're at 28,000 feet, we're going down nice and slowly. We're on a heading, and we're still going to our same place. The APU has come on and has provided us a second backup generator, so we're actually in good shape at this moment in time to start the relight. So we'll give that a moment. Let's jump back into the comments. Did you press the fuse, by the way? Repress the fuse. We didn't. I didn't do it at the moment. That's why I gave you another warning on that. Getting ready to start playing the game. Do teach you the different control options on board. Does it teach you different control options on board? It actually doesn't. There's a whole manual you need to get in. You're a pilot in real life. Yes, I am. Avgi, thank you very much for the roses. Very much appreciated. Don't forget, if you want, to double tap that screen and so we can share the live, and let's get it out there a little bit further. And if you're not already following, drop us a little follow. Very much appreciated also. Are you flying to BER Bravo Echo Romeo? I am indeed. And can you switch to the third person for a couple of seconds? Thanks. Okay. Basically to jump seat. Oh, I can't at the moment with the controls the way I have them set up. It's not the Sim's fault, it's my fault. Let me just try something here. This is probably as good as I can get it there. There we go, that's probably as best as I can do, I'm afraid. Right, so we're going to consider an engine relight. And if you go through a checklist for this, hopefully it works. So there is a couple of conditions. You've got to be within, Airbus will recommend certain things. So if you're above flight level 270, we can actually get the speed up to about, if you're below flight level 270 and you have the speed at about 250 knots, we can do a windmill quick relight. So let's actually just, for the sake of it, put the aircraft into that position. We have just now come below 27,000 feet. Let's select 250 knots to get the speed up there. And there we go. So now we are in a position where we can do a windmill quick relight. Okay. So with that there, so the master of the affected engine is off. The thrust levers of the affected engine is also idle. Engine mode select, we're going to bring that to ignition, which it's already in. The cross bleed is open, which we did that earlier on. There was no reason why we couldn't not open that. And the wing anti-ice is off. Engine master for the affected engine is going to switch it on. So let's go engine number 2 on. So let's have a look at the parameters and see what happens. So we've got N2 spooling up again, looking for about 20% for the fuel flow to come in. Fuel is in. The exhaust gas temperature is starting to rise again. So external hardware I'm using the Thrustmaster joystick and also throttle quadrant, and I'll give the spec on the PC now in a moment. And it's Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. Can Xbox and PC players play together on Microsoft Flight Simulator? I'm not quite sure. I'm just going to pause there for a second. I think the engine is now relit. It's N2 is up healthy. Exhaust gas temperature is increasing, but the engine is at idle. So let's bring the engine up, and let's see, we'll get our engine coming back up. It's looking good. Setting into maximum continuous climb, I should say. And climb. So now the aircraft and engine is back to normal. So let's bring it back up to 35,000 feet and 35. Wait, no, that didn't like that. So 35,000 feet. Thrust climb, open climb. Auto thrust is in. Speed managed. No, not yet. Now it is. Speed is managed. So we've got our engine back on again, and also let's just put direct to Inito and insert. Our engine's back and we're climbing away. So that's how you manage an engine failure in the cruise and a relight. Not exactly to a checklist standard, but gives you a fair idea as to what pilots could be dealing with in a situation like that. Are you online? Can I join with you on F18? I am online. I'm not sure whether you can actually join. One moment, there's just a couple of things here. Just get everything back to normal. So ignition, switch off the APU, don't need that. And back to TARA. Excellent. I turned on live weather and the weather is bad at Berlin. Okay, good. That brings in a now challenging approach then. So don't forget, double tap the screen, share the live, be very much appreciated. And if you're not already following, drop us a little follow as well. Also over on the red channel there, you were be able to view it in HD. I don't see the comments on the red channel, so bear with me on that. Hopefully the next time we go live, we'll have all the chat combined together. So let's have a wee little look. Yeah, and everything up here, all lights are back out again, exactly the way Airbus likes it, and everything is back and configured normal. We're good. So if anybody wants to see any other systems, a little bit more information, just drop it into the chat and we'll be able to get to it. If we don't have an answer, we certainly try and dig one out for you. And in a few minutes we'll also start looking at the approach charts for Berlin. So looking like we're going to be landing at 5 minutes past 3 Irish time, so that's another hour from now. So we'll spend the next 20 minutes, 25 minutes answering any questions that you may have on the Airbus. Thank you for your help on the configuration of hardware, much appreciated. No problem, Jimmy. Again, I didn't give you the spec on the PC. I'm using a 380, an RTX 380 graphics card, an i9 Intel processor, and also 64 gigs on the RAM. I'm using the Asus, Republic of Gaming 590Z board as well. Are the seats comfy you sit on? Yeah. They are comfy enough. Probably not as comfy as the 737 Shagpile ones, but yeah, they're very comfy. Let's do a smoke in the cabin procedure. Oh no, we don't have time for that. No way, give us something different. Oh, we'd be causing all sorts of panic.
Bye-bye, thank you for flying.
So what's your favourite airport to land in? I have to say my current one now is
Lufthansa
my current one now
Alpha,
is
wind
JFK.
20 degrees, 1 knots, so runway 25 center, clear to land.
Clear center, clear to land, Lufthansa 9 clear land.
Lufthansa 6 Yankee Papa.
Have you seen Airplane the movie? Yes, we have. Okay. We did need a fish, Jimmy. So as we're climbing back up to our cruise altitude of 35,000 feet, we'll have a little look at some of the electrics on the aircraft and how well they're all backed up. Of the loss of, say, a generator, and how little you really notice, and what kind of other backups are available to you. Jamie, thank you very much for the TikTok. Very much appreciated. Brickyard wants to do the smoke in the cabin procedure. God, you're going to really want to give me a hard day today. So just 40 miles off the coast of Amsterdam, and again we're just over 1 hour to land. So the joystick I'm using is the Thrustmaster joystick, and also the throttle quadrant to go with it. It's just a 2-engine configuration setup. It's quite good. Jimmy, take care of yourself. Thanks very much for joining in today. Really appreciate it, and hope to see you again soon. Don't forget, hit that follow, and you'll get notified in the future for any other lives that we're going to do. So let's have a little look. I was asked about the Navigraph charts earlier on, so let's bring up the charts for the arrival. 25 right, 25 right. So the arrival that we're going to be doing today will be coming in by a point called Ogber, and up towards Delta Bravo 413. So let's just double check that. Delta Bravo 413. Outboard Delta Bravo 413. Delta Bravo 413, 423, 433, and so forth. And that sounds about right. So this is a NORNAV arrival. And once we actually do the arrival coming in here, you wouldn't expect ATC of Berlin to let you fly that whole arrival all the way out and back into Uberu, which is the final approach fix for runway 25 right. So we'll come in and do some of that arrival, but then we'll cut it short and jump across onto the final inbound. We'll have a talk about that a little bit later on.
1000. $500. $100 above. Minimum. $100. 50, 40, 30, 20, retard. 5,